Let's take just a minute to examine this kit of cedar strips that I ordered from Bear Mountain Boats. As you can see, they're quite long. They're 18 feet long, and they're really beautiful. They come in a pack of 8 strips, and they line them up sequentially, all cut from the same board, which is nice, because when you lay them out to choose your color pattern, you can see you can keep all of your colors together. I have to say, once I unpacked these and saw how fragile and floppy and hard to deal with they are, I'm really glad that I ordered this kit instead of tried to manufacture these myself. The actual milling of them is rather simple, but as you can see, you would need 18 feet of infeed and outfeed space, which a lot of people probably don't have. So this is a good option if you can shell out the dollars. Also, this Western red cedar is really pretty. Got really nice quarter sawn stock. So what I'm going to do is lay out these batches of colors and arrange them and get them to where I think they're nice and pretty. And then I'm going to number them so I don't mix up the order. And then I'm going to start planking. We've laid out our planks in a pattern that I really like, and they're all doubled up. So this is actually twice as thick as what the actual canoe will look like, because each set of 2 planks is going to go one to each side. Now, a good way to get an idea of what any wood is going to look like when it gets a clear finish on it is to just put some water on it. And that looks nice. You can see we're going for a sort of an alternating light dark thing. And we have this cool feature strip with 2 mahogany strips around a basswood strip. It's going to look pretty sharp. Okay, since I'm working alone, I'm using some of these inexpensive spring clamps to help hold my plank where I want it. And because of the curve of the boat, I'm just temporarily clamping the ends in place before I get to them. Also, because it's difficult to judge if I'm perfectly centered with my plank on the mold, before I started, I marked a center line on each plank so I know where to line it up on the 0 station. I'm going to make a line here so that I can try and keep my staples in a nice straight line, because although they come out, their holes will be visible. And we're off. Okay, so far it's working. So instead of keeping the shear plank running all along the shear line, that would make an uncomfortable curve in the wood and it would look visually kind of wrong. So I'm letting the top plank sort of take its natural curve, and then we'll come back and fill this in with shorter planks. Also, as Ted suggests in the book, I'm stapling every other mold so that the plank can form its own fair line, and then I'll come back and hit the ones I missed. All right, I've got my first plank stapled on. Now I'm going to commit. I marked where the plank goes on the stem so that I can get my glue in the accurate right spot. And I'm going to clamp it on, and we'll be in business. Use my custom glue brush. Oh, nice. Oh. That's hot. What I'm doing here is using a level to make sure that my second shear plank is exactly at the same height as my first shear plank. Trying to keep everything as symmetrical as possible. Beautiful. I don't want to see this show up on one of those stapling fetish websites. There's so many things to line up. Okay, it's time for plank number 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a scrap of my plank material and make a mark on the stem so that I know exactly how much glue to put on. I'm going to do that on both ends, and then I'm going to run my bead of glue down through the cove.
Got a few more of these to do anyway.
Yes, we'll be speeding this shot up. I've never used one of these. It's just sweet. I'm using a scrap of the planking to put the bead into the cove so that I can squeeze on it without damaging the fragile cove edges. Like this. So what I'm doing here is using a thin piece of the bead so that I can really bear down and squeeze my planks together, and I see where I still have some gappage, and I get a little bit of glue squeezing out, and I'm using a little bit of tape to have some clamping action between my stations. That one could use a little bit. Like so. Get it ready, squeeze, and apply tape, clamp.